Hey, what's up guys? Working on this 2012 Chevy Impala. Going to show you how to replace the rear axle hub bearing assembly. So it's going to be this passenger rear side that went bad. And what it's doing is you can hear it inside the car there as you're driving. It's almost like a howling / growling noise. And as you start to increase your speed, it gets a little bit louder. So that is why we're going to be replacing it. So I'm going to go ahead and jack up this passenger rear side here. I'm just going to go right underneath the pinch weld here. We'll jack it up and then we'll get a jack stand under there as well. So about right there, and then I'll go ahead and just slowly lower this onto the jack stand. And I'll just go ahead and leave my jack here kind of in place as well. So now with that tire off the ground, if I start to spin this, you can kind of hear that bearing making noise. And then if I go move this up and down here, you can see there's quite a bit of play in there as well. So that hub assembly is definitely bad. So then you go ahead and take a 19mm or 3/4 inch. We'll go ahead and remove all the lug nuts and then remove your wheel and tire. So next we need to remove the brake caliper, and I'm just going to go ahead and remove the brake caliper bracket with the caliper on it. We'll go ahead and slide that off here. So you got 2 bolts holding that brake caliper bracket on here. It's going to be a 13mm right here, and then there's another one below. Same thing on this bottom one right here. And then you should be able to go ahead and just slide this caliper bracket off of here with your pads and your caliper there, just like that. And then if you take a hook, you can get these off of Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. But these hooks come in handy, and then you can just kind of hang the caliper here out of the way. So next we need to go ahead and remove this rotor here. There's going to be a Torx T30 screw that you need to remove if it's still there. You can also use a impact screwdriver. I'm just going to go ahead and use an impact driver here. See if we can get this off of here. So go ahead and take that off. And then you should be able to just remove your whole rotor here. So now with that rotor out of the way, that gives us access to our hub assembly bolts here. So you got 2 on top here. That's going to be 10mm. And what you can do is use these holes to stick your ratchet and extension through there to get these loose. And then you're going to have 2 more on the bottom here. So just go ahead and rotate that downward. And if you notice, there's your 3rd one there, and then your 4th one's going to be right there. So let's go ahead and remove all 4 of those. So there's what those look like. So before we go ahead and get the hub out of the way here, we need to disconnect the ABS sensor back here. So if you take a look back here, you can have this connector right here. And if you can get a little pick under here or a flathead screwdriver, just kind of pry up on that. You're going to have the same thing on the bottom there. So if you can disconnect both of those, just pry them up a little bit and then pry this outward, you can go ahead and disconnect this. So just like that. So now we can go ahead and pull this out of here. Most likely this will be kind of seized in there because it starts to rust in there. If you take a slide hammer, you can get it out that way. I'm just going to use a little mini sledge here. We'll hit on it back and forth, and we'll see if we can get it out of here. There we go. As you can see, that popped out of there. And it looks like I actually busted this. So good thing the new one comes with that connector there. As you can see, this is the rust and everything. It starts to seize up in here that I was talking about. And you can see there's a bunch of cobwebs in here. But we did get our old hub out of here. So let's go ahead and take a look at the new one here. So now let's take a look at our new one here. So I got this one off of Amazon. This is the SKF BR93075. I'll put a link in the description for it. SKF makes pretty good bearings here. You can see there's the part number on there as well, SKF. But if you just compare it to the old factory one here, you can see there's a little bit of difference right here. Same with on the top here, whereas the OEM one was just flat. And then as you can see, when I pulled this out, it fell on the concrete there and busted that. But the new one does come with that. And then if you take a look here on the front side, you can see they're pretty much identical here. We got our hole for our screw as well. So let's go ahead and get this new one in. But before I put my new one in, I'm gonna go ahead and take a wire wheel here. I'm gonna clean up this hole where it goes, because you can see just all the corrosion. Luckily this car isn't from the Midwest or the East Coast where they get a lot of rust, so it came out pretty easy. But I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up, and then we'll get some anti-seize in there as well. So you can see that cleaned up pretty good there. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take some anti-seize as well. Just put a little coat of that on here, just because, like I said, that likes to seize up in there over time. So just put a little coat of that on there. Then of course grab your new hub, and you want to make sure that the connector is pointing that way towards the front of the car there. Go ahead and grab your dust shield here. Stick it through there. Then we'll go ahead and stick this through. You can see how much easier it is to put the new one through there with that all cleaned up. And then just kind of hold that in place. Get a couple of these screws started, or bolts, just to kind of hold that in there. Because you may need to move this just a hair to get those to line up. So go ahead and get all 4 of those just started. Okay, so once all 4 of those are started, go ahead and grab your 10mm. Let's go ahead and get those snug, and then we'll torque them. And then once you get all those snug, go ahead and grab your torque wrench. You're going to torque those to 55 foot-pounds. So then go ahead and grab your rotor. Make sure you line up your screw hole there with the hole on your rotor. Go ahead and take your Torx T30 screw. Get that started in there. Go ahead and tighten that up. So next you can go ahead and plug in your ABS sensor here. That can only go one way. Get that pushed in there. And if you notice, it's kind of hard to get that in there. It's like this rubber gasket's getting caught on it, so I'm going to try something here. See if I can just pull this off. And then stick this down in there first. So I'm not sure if you guys can see it on camera, but there's a little indentation right here, kind of on the plastic, which I think is making it hard to push that in. So now let's see if it'll plug in here. There we go. So you want to make sure that top and bottom one clips onto that little connector as well. So there we go. So now let's go ahead and get our brake caliper bracket along with our caliper and pads back on here. And hopefully your pads didn't move. These ones look like they're still in place. And then you should be able to go ahead and just slide this back over the rotor here. Just watch that e-brake cable here. And slide that back over like that. Grab your 2 caliper bracket bolts here. Try try and get those started. Same with your bottom one here. So then you can go ahead and get those snug. Same with the bottom one here. Get that snug. And then once you get that snug, if you want to, you can go ahead and torque these to 85 foot-pounds. I'm not going to do that because I'm actually going to be doing a brake job on this car as well. And I'll be doing a separate video on that. If you're interested in that, you can check that video out as well once I get that posted. But like I said, get those snug or as tight as you can, and you'll torque those to 85 foot-pounds. Next, you can go ahead and get your wheel and tire put back on. So now with the wheel and tire on, you can go ahead and check for any play. You can see that's not moving at all now, either way. So that was definitely a bad hub bearing assembly. So now we can go ahead and jack this up, get our jack stand out of here. And then grab your torque wrench. You're going to torque those lug nuts to 100 foot-pounds. Alright guys, so that's all there is to it. Again, this was a 2012 Chevy Impala. Went ahead and replaced the rear axle hub assembly. Pretty simple job to do on these cars. Doesn't take you very long at all. So I'm hoping this video kind of helps you out. If it does, why don't you hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. I got more videos to come on this car, so check those out once I get them uploaded, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.